Okay, so this is what you end up with once you get all the detail, once you've done all of the save selection masks and all that. And as you can see, we've even added some more detail here, these bits. We've got more detail around here. And generally this is ready to be converted into an AO map. So what we need to do is we need to save this out. So you should be saving out as targets. And we need to save this out as a normal map. So I tend to use the prefix NRM for normal. It's a 24-bit, click OK. Now if we open this up, and if we go into here and click Map Converter, and click AO, and I tend to, what we do in surefooting is we tend to use a diffuse. This creates, has a cavity map built in, which gives this kind of edge highlight and gives more depth to the actual texture. So I tend to use it, and I'll show you a way to blend that in a minute. So if we go on Active Document, so making sure you're on the normal map, and you can click Active Document. Now to select both of those, I press Control when I did it. Now you have to give it a bit of time, depending on how big the texture is dependent on how long it takes to convert it into this set of textures. And it'll give you two new files. It'll give you an ambient occlusion and a diffuse. Now we could go around and we could like take some of this out, maybe blend it a little bit better, maybe have a play around and see how it looks. Okay. But once you've had a play around to see what it is, we need to merge these layers. So if you right click on the group, we can go merge group. Now if you press Control A, that'll give you the whole selection of the object, the texture. Control C. And again, we can play around with the shadow for this and making sure it's like, we can turn the fine shadow down, we can turn the medium shadow, we can turn it up. I mean, what we're going to do is we're actually going to do a bit of blending using some filters anyway. So what I'm going to do again, same with this, I'm going to merge this down. And then I'm going to select, go Control V. I'm just going to paste these into the same group. Now what we want to do is we want to create a group out of this. So Control G, and that'll create a group. Let's name this AO. Now inside of this we need to make some changes. So for this it needs to be multiplier. And as you can see, it's very dark and it doesn't look like an AO map. So what we need to do is we need to create a mask for this. So if we go down to the bottom here and click Create New Fill and create a new brightness contrast. And what I found, and no one ever taught me this, was to, if you hold Alt and left click on a layer, it assigns that mask to that layer, which is quite a handy tool to know. And we're going to change this to about 100 brightness. As you can see now, it's a lot better. So what we want to do as well, we want to blur this a little bit because it's a bit too strong. So if we go select the occlusion layer and go filter, filter gallery, and we want paint dubs. You can play around with this, but I can keep it on 3, so it softens it. And what we can do now is we can actually duplicate this group into our original PSD. So if we duplicate it, right click, duplicate on the group, and we'll move it to that one. Now, turn this off. You can see this is now the AO. So if we were to look at see what this looks like on the texture, we can go select the group, not anything inside it, just the group, and go up here and click multiplier. And that's what it'll look like. It darkens it, but it adds that depth to it when really there isn't any model polygons there to actually support that. And I'll show you what this looks like in Engine in a minute.